Hi everybody, this is TJ with NetPicks Trading and the Spotlight Power Trader. I wanted to do a video today that kind of followed up on yesterday's sessions. I put those session recordings on the Owners Club, and one of the topics we were discussing is the fact that it is so important to build up your confidence and belief in a trade plan and then to just lean on it. Each session when it starts, it's going to be different. Sometimes it's frantic, like today. Today was amazing, frantic trading. Other days it'll be slow, boring. Time is always a challenge no matter what, whether it's too fast or too slow. You never know what to expect and you have to be ready and prepared. The other concept that we discussed is how the strategy exists beyond the dots on the chart. In other words, there was an idea, a concept, a strategy that was developed, and then computer code and indicators were then later developed to help us utilize the ideas of this strategy so that we can use them effectively and in real time. So a perfect example was today's crude oil session, because the rules are clear, but they don't always correspond with the dots on the chart. There are times when we have to get away from the dots on the chart to stick to the rules of our trade plan. And if you haven't developed your belief and confidence in the plan and your ability to execute the plan, your knowledge of it, the repetition necessary to be able to trade it perfectly day in and day out, today might have been problematic when it should have been a very successful session. Let me walk you through it and I'll explain what I mean. All right, so as many of you may know, our crude oil trade plan starts at 9 a.m. exchange time in New York. I'm on the West Coast, which means I have to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed by 6 in the morning. It's pretty tough. I'm usually on my first or second cup of coffee, and try as I may, the sleep has not quite left my eyeballs at that time of day, even though I've been doing this for many years. There was this really great trade that set up right here, and you'll see that it's 2 minutes before our start time, and then when it triggers in, it's literally a minute before our start time. Right in this bar here, there might have been the ability to grab it. You could see it's at 9 a.m., but it closes down at 9 a.m. And so from my point of view, and I was not ready to take this trade today, so I'm only looking at it after the fact. That just happened a little bit in front of our start time, and unfortunately can't count it. It's not a trade plan trade. Experienced traders might have seen this and jumped on it a few seconds early. Okay, great. But let's get to what would be officially the first trade of our trade plan, and that would be the next trade. It's a possible long right here. That one cancels. You could see it's canceled because the bars stay gray. Now, when the trade plan and the setups are perfectly in tune with our trade plan rules, all the colors are beautiful. You know when you're short, you know when you're flat. Still waiting for the next trade, and we get the long trade right here. So that's the first trade. It's 23 minutes into the session. Long at 67.77, targeting 94. Always go to target 2. You could have a second position that goes to one of the higher targets or trails. And then the stop, of course. So let's see what happened. Remember, our goal is to get a target 2 winner and have a positive result, and then we quit for the session. After a big, strong move down, the market's kind of looking for a bottom and starting to consolidate, and that's right when you start getting some choppy price action, and this always gives traders problems. The thing is that you never know what's going to happen next. We have a rule that if we're long and we're having to then get short when we're still in the long trade, we want to protect the long trade, the trade that we're in. And the way we do that is by moving the stop and reverse, which would be this little plus sign to go short, a couple ticks lower. In other words, we want to ask for a little extra price action confirmation to really be sure that the price is going to go the other way. Because these setups are pretty good. They're here for a reason. So the idea is protect the trade you're in, but respect the fact the market could be turning. Let's just ask for a little extra price action for it to prove itself. And so instead of stop and reverse at 67.64, we would put our order in at 67.62. Okay, and I realize that's awkward because you've got these other swing levels here, this low right here, but you can't at some point, you just have to trust the trade and trust your rules and realize not every trade is going to win, and we're okay with that. Here's an important concept. It's the results of our trade plan that makes us money, and inside that trade plan that makes us money, there might be some losing trades before we get to our winning trades. We're going to quit positive most of the time and control our drawdowns with minimal and efficient trading. And like this, we grow our equity, compound our position, and achieve our financial goals. It's such a simple concept. It amazes me how many people forget that when they're trading live and they're afraid of losing. So the trade is long. We might have to go short. It does hit the natural entry, but it only goes one tick beyond. It doesn't go 2 ticks beyond. So we stay long. It could go short still, but it doesn't. Instead, it goes up and jiggles around. And there's another long trade. Notice that the colors are all out of whack because we're still long. It'd be nice if all the bars were green, but the calculator and the indicators think it got short, thinks it got long again, but we know we're still long in our first trade of the day. So this is what I mean by the strategy existing beyond the dots on the chart. What's more important is that you know the rules of your trade plan and that you practice it. That's the beauty of what we do. We could use a simulation account and practice to our heart's content until we could execute perfectly. And that's part of the training, of course. There are techniques that we use to do that. So anyone in this trade plan is still long. It threatens to get short again. Keep in mind that we're long and the short gets canceled, okay, because of all this that occurs. But notice even if it didn't, it still never went down more than 1 tick past that short entry. And then it goes up. And then another possible short, but that cancels, never triggers in, and it goes up again, and it hits target 1, hits our money management level, and now we want to move the stop from down here up to here and lock in 1 tick. So we got long at 67, we move our stop, at 77, we move our stop to 78. And it doesn't really get much higher than that. Some people might take profit at target 1, which is fine. That would have been 11 ticks for $110 a contract. But we're going to target 2, and instead it comes out down, and it's going to stop out at stops out at 78, even though it's trailing from this setup. We're keeping track of where we need to go. So we haven't hit our goals yet, and we have to take another trade. That's fine. Sometimes you have to trade more than once to hit your goals. Sometimes we get our trade goals in the first trade. That's always a nice thing. All right, so check out what happens. This time, we have a short setup, and it does get short. But this market wants to head higher because it was trying to bottom here, and it's still trying. It was unable to get lower, and this is a trade that is going to lose. So now we have a break-even trade, basically, what makes us 1 tick, and a losing trade that loses 17 ticks. And now we need to take a third trade because we're still trying to get to positive, and we haven't hit our trade limit as far as how many trades we take in a session. We're only 2 trades in. There's another short trade right here. I know it's hard to take a short trade when the last one just lost. And the chart's really messy. This is not an attractive looking pattern. No real follow through. Pretty noisy. But it's not for us to put our own judgments onto how the chart looks and feels if we are confident in the results of our trade plan. Yes, this might be a losing session. But if we've done our homework properly, we know this trade plan continues to win most of the time and will grow our equity. So if we really want to make money trading, we have to let the trade plan do its thing. We have to run it like a business, like any other business. Any business is going to have an off day, okay? We don't know if today will be an off day or not. All we know is that this is the next trade in the sequence, and if you're really going to lean on the strategy and execute your trade plan, then this is the trade you take. All right, so here we go. Short at 79. And it's just not finished wiggling around. Look how noisy that is. But the stop is up here. We're still in the trade. And ultimately, it's going to capitulate. And it comes down and it hits its money management level. The stop moves down. Hits target 2. Hits target 3. Hits target 4. And if you're trailing, now we're going to use our techniques to hide our trailer. around the little pivot swing levels that occur, because again, the strategy exists beyond the dots on the chart. There are techniques that we use. It's the 5% art to trading, but we've reduced them down to mechanical rules. We just don't need to program it to do it. So for example, the stop moves down to here, but I'm leaving my stop up there around this little swing level. Then we get a spike on the next bar. And so instead of the stop coming to here, to this dot, I'm still leaving it above the spike, because what I want to do is let the price action speak to me, and these bars are showing you very minute, micro, near-term support and resistance levels. So I want to be a little bit above that wick, one tick. And so when the price comes up and hits the dot, I'm not getting out of this trade, because I've already got a nice winning trade here, right? So why not try to take my trailer down further if I can, and I'm willing to adjust it a tick or two above the spike. These are techniques we do all the time in the trade room, and this time it really paid off, because look, now all we do is trail the balance line. With every bar that closes, we put our stop 2 ticks above it, and it goes lower, lower, and lower. Ultimately, here it's going to stop out at 2 ticks above, 67.47. And remember, we got short at 79. So that's a nice 32 tick runner, $320 on the trailer, and in 3 trades, this session is able to quit with a positive result, growing our account yet again inside of the trade plan, an ugly trade, an almost ugly trade, and a trade that maybe was confusing if you did not know your rules and you weren't well practiced. You could see how getting away from the dots was important. And again, it's the strategy itself that's important and how we use it. The dots are written a certain way, but the trade plan rules allow us to move off the dots sometimes when the price action dictates that's what we need to do. And there are techniques and rules that we follow for this. And then you just practice it. So in a way, it's just technique, and technique can be learned. Technique is easy to learn. It's like painting by numbers. It's just a matter of practice and repetition, doing it over and over and over, and then it's like riding a bike and you never forget it for the rest of your life. All right, so anyway, this is a really good example on what it takes to be a successful Spotlight Power Trader user and how to succeed at trading. This was a winning session on crude oil, and I can't wait for tomorrow's crude oil inventory report, which we typically win on most of the time as well. So I hope you'll join me then, and be on the lookout for the replay video. And if you want to join us in the trade room and check it out, you certainly can. Send me an email, and I will get you an access pass to get in and join us for the crude oil report. That's an amazing trade every week. You can reach me at troy@netpixtrading.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day, everybody.